Now, this one's tender. I haven't fully come out, not publicly, not loudly, but I've known for a long time that I carry queerness and Africanness at the same time. And for a long time, I didn't think I was allowed to. Stepping into Miss Africa Great Britain didn't make me shout it from the rooftops, but it made me walk in it quietly, carefully, and now maybe a little more boldly. Let's talk.
Category is bring it to the runway. What category are you walking in?
Femme Queen Realness.
Femme Queen Realness is in the house.
So I've snatched before.
And well, honey, you might have that one in the bag. Tens across the board. Hold that pose for me. DJ, start the music.
Welcome to Pageantry Redefined, the podcast where the crown ain't just cute, it's conscious. I'm your host, Deborah Mungai, Miss Africa Great Britain 2024 to 2025, and around here, we're not just strutting stages, we're shaking systems. Whether you're a future queen, a creative, or just trying to serve impact and face, this is your space. Let's talk pageantry, power, and purpose, and everything in between.
Bring it to the runway. Bring it to the runway. Bring it to the runway.
Period. Oh, I'm breathing in and breathing out because this is an episode I've been planning in my head for so long, and I'm hoping I don't get emotional while recording this, but also just opening up a new space. Recently I've been thinking about my goals for this year, and one of those goals was just to feel a sense of self-liberation, and I believe that I'm very expressive in what I do, but there's parts of myself that I still hide from the world, and there's so many factors that we're going to speak about in this episode that factor that, but at this point, the first step for me is to create a space to speak about it. And a big part of my creativity and how I show up on the world is because of the queer background that I have and the queer background that I've seen. Okay, so let's start. The first thing I want to talk about is growing up in a queer world that couldn't exist. Okay. Now, of course, I was born in Kenya, and in Kenya, I think it is even illegal. It's illegal to be queer, to participate in any queerness, any queer relationships. It's all illegal, and I don't know. It's so weird opening up about these stories, because these are the stories that I feel like I want to take to the grave, but at the same time, I know it's gonna be very liberating for someone who's also going to what I went to. Now, being in school, I always known that I liked women, and it was like it since primary school. I remember that I really liked this girl, and everyone thought that I liked the guy, but the guy had a girl best friend, and I genuinely like everyone was shipping. Shipping means like they want you to be in a relationship with a guy, but I didn't. It wasn't for me, man. It wasn't for me, man. So I knew since primary school. Then going into high school, I wasn't too interested in boys. I was for the girls, okay? Then now fast forward to moving into the UK, I was in my first relationship when I was 15. And that was the relationship where we were like, both, let's both explore and see what this is and why, just let's see what this happens. And it was a very interesting relationship. I think the saddest part for me was that the relationship ended a couple months after because our parents did not want us together. And it was sad because we didn't want to leave each other. You guys don't... the first WLW, women loving women, heartbreak is the worst, because it's like you're breaking up with your best friend. And it wasn't amazing because, we didn't want to break up, as well as it was external factors that were making us break up. Also, when you're 15, there's behavioral problems, and there was behavioral problems. That was the main reason why they didn't want us together, was because the girl I was dating was not doing well. There was so many issues in her home life that our parents just always think because you're, well, they're right sometimes when you're influenced by a bad factor outside, that's the reason. But I can't really say much because I was 15, so there's nothing really I can do. Then I ended up in 2 other relationships. One was in midway after her. That was actually probably like a rebound. And then the relationship that I was in last, which lasted for 3 years, and we broke up in 2021, 2022. And that was more so because I wanted to grow, and I felt like because we were so inseparable and we were so codependent to each other, they didn't give us room for us to grow. And also after I broke up with her, I realized that because my I'll open up and I'll say, like, my home life wasn't, people around me weren't as accepting as I felt like I needed that love. I'll just be honest and I'll say the mother love that I needed at that point, because me and my mum were not close at that time. It was difficult, and the love that I expected from my mum, I got from her. And my relationship with my mum at that time was getting better, so I started to realize, like, I'm so codependent and I'm just so yearning for this kind of love from the wrong person. And it affected our relationship. It affected the way I showed up. I was like, I can't do this relationship anymore, so I had to leave. But it's a big taboo in our community. I mean, I'm speaking about something that not many people really want to open up to or speak about, and it's hiding spaces of ourselves that we don't want the whole world to see, and it's okay to do that. But at the same time, there's also freedom in living your truth. Speaking of my queer awakening, I think there was a video I saw on YouTube, and it's just these 2 girls together, and it was a video called Love is Love, I think. And that completely blew my mind, because I'm like, this is exactly what I want. Like, forget all the guys that I speak to. I speak to you guys because I don't even know what I speak to them. I would class myself as bisexual, but being in a relationship with a man's a bit wild for me. And let me just share, actually, quite recently, as before we move to the next step, recently I was in a club with one of my aunties, actually, and we were sat there and I was speaking to her about the girl that I'm dating right now. And she said, I was telling her about, like, did I ever tell you that I was gay? And she was like, yeah, I noticed, I could tell that you were, because I see you very uncomfortable around men. Like, that's not, you don't really open up much, but when you're around women, you look so free. And I saw that, and I felt, and that was the first moment I felt seen in my life. Also because everyone says I look very straight presenting, and I'm not. Really truly inside, I'm a girl yearning for that kind of love, you know what I mean? So I felt so seen, and I told her, like, I'm just really scared to speak about being queer. More so because, I'm scared I might lose my community. I'm scared that, the aunties that support me won't support me anymore. And something profound that she said was, they chose you for the crown, not because you are of your sexuality, but because of who you are. And your sexuality is part of who you are. So it's been like a mind-blowing moment for me. Mind-blowing moment for me. And I have taken time to create an opportunity for me to speak about my queerness, because there's a lot, even down to my confidence. I will share all of it. But yeah, now, apart from my sexuality, speaking about just pageantry and being a queer person, and how I dress, how I walk, I think those are the bigger parts of queerness. Forget the person that you love. It's just that fluidity in sexuality which has influenced the way I appear to the world, because I speak about my creativity. Things like RuPaul's Drag Race have impacted my confidence, have impacted the way I take competitions, because these are the things that I've grown up from, and grown up watching. And it's that fluidity of expression. Like if you look at a drag queen wakes up and creates a character. They give the character a name. They give a character their signature style. They give the character their own makeup style. And for me, that has actually inspired the way I show up in the world, to a point of I use inspiration of that to create this alter ego. My alter ego is called Tia Deborah. That's what I called myself when I moved into the country. And she is a bust of self-expression. She no gender, no queerness, no this. It's what she feels, and she expressed that through the way she dresses, through the way she talks to people, through the way she creates content. And that has been a big part of what my passion and purpose lies. You know what I mean? When it comes to another part I'll speak on is just turning myself down and feeling like I have to look a certain way and be a certain way for people. This is again for people, not for me. I remember, I'm gonna touch a little bit on my coming out story. I don't think I'm at this space yet to speak a lot about it, because it was a very hurtful moment, because I think at that time my mom wasn't very accepting of what the sexuality spectrum looked like, and that's okay. That was her moment, her own moment, and obviously it did impact the way I share my relationships, and I feel as though it's not something that I've told her, but I feel as though most of the toxic situations that I've been through, wow, I'm teary. Most of the toxic situations I've been through in relationships, I feel as though if that's something that I was able to express and show, maybe I would have been impacted a bit differently. But I am accepting of that journey, and it has taught me how to create a safe space for myself first before expecting others to create a safe space for me. I should be my first safe space. And yeah, it can put you in a world of just being by yourself, but I would say that, you know, I like to see the goodness in things. Yes, it hurts, but I want to create a better space, you know what I mean? So back to my coming out story, it was a moment where I shared, this is who I am and this is what I like. And this was actually egged on by my first ever ex. She said, "Nah, you gotta come out and you gotta come out and tell her." And I was like, "Sis, I don't know about that." So I called my mom and I was like, "Yeah, I gotta tell you something." She said, "Nah, you gotta tell me now," because she was on a trip. "You gotta tell me now." And I told her, and she wasn't very happy about it. She said, you got to start doing makeup, you got to start dressing this specific way. And I would say it was hurtful. It was really hurtful because, and I ended up doing the opposite. One thing about me, I'm rebellious. I'm very rebellious. So I said, nah, like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And also, this is another part I want to speak for people who still live with their parents and obviously you can't show up in your queerness. I've had instances of friends who have felt like that, and my advice to that part is, depending on what your home life looks like, sometimes you just have to, unless if you want to struggle with your bills, that's okay, that's fine. If that gives you a better peace of mind, that's fine. Or you're at home and sometimes then pay with your mental health. That's something a lot of us Gen Z say. Sometimes you have to pay with your mental health. Maybe not being too open about that part of your life, and just, you know, this is their house, their rules, and as much as you want to, you know, show up in this way because this is who you are, sometimes you can't, and it's either you become completely homeless or you just have to live with that fact. That's an option that you have to choose for yourself. I can't encourage one or the other and say go be homeless and live in your queer life, or stay at home and repress yourself. There's pros and cons to each part, but it's being very thinking about your future before you make certain decisions and before you start to outlive certain ways. I mean, for me, I feel as though I don't know what it's going to be like, but from the conversations I've had with my mom and like my friends, they have learned how to accept that part of me, and knowing that doesn't change anything about me. It's just who I like. I go out and people ask me, why do you like women? I'm like, why do you like men? How about why do you like men? That's the same instance. Like, we're just all born that way, you know what I mean? It's not something that yeah getting to this new stage of my life, understanding why representation matters. And I told you, when I was having that conversation with my auntie, she spoke a lot about representation. Like, she said, imagine you're a black queer woman who is a queen, you know? And that, I felt that, because I'm like, imagine all those people that also have to see the queerness of this part, you know? And a big part of me is scared, because I'm like, I don't want to lose the deals, I don't want to lose my community, I don't want to lose this, I don't want to lose that. But I'm slowly and accepting, showing up as myself is in progress, is radical. And I believe that if you don't want to accept my sexuality, then it's a moment of, maybe you can't just say, oh, I'm gonna accept everything about you except your hands. That to me doesn't see my value, or just doesn't see me fully, you know what I mean? And I am I don't know, it's a weird one, because I'm also navigating this, and I hope in the next couple months and next episodes I'm able to come back and share with you guys what my progress is, because I want to get more into the queer space, and I also want to support more queer charities. That's kind of like the goal for this month. I have made no progress in that, but I'm going to try and do my best to show up at least to one or two this month. But because it's queer month, it's June, guys, it's June. And sometimes also I've just thought about, like, you don't have to be fully out to represent. Sometimes it's just that inner knowing and inner acceptance, self-acceptance and self-recognition comes first, you know, before showing out, you know, out of the world. What I'm learning by being honest in layers is, you don't owe a performance of identity, you just owe yourself the truth. And I'm gonna say that I have, the past 3 years after I left my last relationship, I've been really trying to get into the hetero space and dating men and dating different kinds of men. I feel like I've dated a lot. I've been with black men, Asian men, some Asian men. No, that's a lie. Not East Asian. Albanian. I think I've dated an Albanian man before. I've dated white men. I've dated people from America, guys. Tell me where I'm getting American men from. But I've dated an American before. And this year, after I even went for my meditation retreat, I started to understand that I'm not, like, it's taken out the part of understanding that I am queer. That was what I got out of my retreat. It was that I am, like, this is what I like. And now the current person that I'm dating now, shout out to my booski out there. I in fact was speaking to her about this episode, and she was very supportive. Now, when me and her just started talking and we see each other and we go on dates, and like, just being in her energy felt so like I felt at home. Like, these past 3 years, I feel like I've been yearning for certain kind of relationships, and I don't feel like men fully see me the way women do. And it just felt like home. It felt like returning back home and opening up physically, spiritually, sexually, emotionally to someone who accepts me, and someone who sees me and sees me deeply. And you know, when I left my last relationship, I said that's one of the things that I'm looking for. Is like, when I get into a new relationship, you need to be able to spiritually touch me. You don't have to be spiritual, but at least spiritually touch me and connect with me, you know what I mean? And I feel like she did that for me. And I would say that she's also navigating her own world and her own sexuality and how she shows up. And it's also accepting of each and every other's progress. I might be fully out and she might not be, but the main thing is more so our own relationship and our own connection. To me, that's what matters the most. I think my message for our community and allies of the queer community is just to a message even just to my aunties and to my friends and to those people who are not part of the community but have people who are in the community, is to continue to accept people for who they really are. Understanding, this is one thing, this is a big point that I want you to clamp onto and hold on to, is understanding that someone's sexual preferences has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with your choices. It has nothing to do with who you are. It doesn't, me being gay does not have any influence over you. It doesn't have any it doesn't change you. I'm gay, then what? It's my own preferences. And speaking, I'm gonna have an episode where I speak on spirituality and the big aspect of religion and all those things. Maybe to touch a little bit on that. I personally did investigations on religion and my past lives, and I will share and say that in my past lives, I think one of them I was into spirituality a lot, and another one I was into religion a lot. And in this lifetime, for me, it's a moment of understanding that, to me, religion is, and faith, certain faith is very man-made. And I say that because, to me, the real God and the creator is something that's undefinable. If you ask me what God is light. God is love. God is pure love. And it's a light full of nothing but joy, peace, love, every good thing and every energy. It's not a person sat in heaven. A man sat in heaven. To me, that's not who God is. And in this lifetime, I've learned that this religion, I've been really religious and I've also been very spiritual. And those are just aspects of life. And accepting my queerness is understanding that you're on this lifetime to experience what you're meant to experience. And the choices that you make have nothing to do with, like, two things. You can't just tell me I can be African but I can't be queer, or I can be religious and not be queer, or I can be... How about we accept all things? How about we accept our identities as all things? If you want to be 3 different genders, that's up to you. That's your choice. But it's that radical acceptance of yourself that matters the most. I hope I've gotten what I wanted to say on that. But I think that's my message for the community. And just to close up, what I'd say to another queer African girl hiding in silence, my words will be: you are not broken, you're not wrong, you're just real, and you're just you. And the you and every version of you, it's learning to accept that and learning to be that and living with it, not feeling like you're broken or you're wrong. And it's just fully accepting who you are. And that will be my word. And to guard your life, I know there's a lot of hate crime. I know there's a lot of, the dolls, the transgender people also being in danger in different parts of the world. And it's sad that sometimes the world doesn't accept us for who we are, but acceptance, the most important acceptance, is self-acceptance and loving yourself for who you are. Now, to finish up, I want to say, you don't have to come out to be whole. You don't have to post it to believe it. You just have to be kind enough to stop hiding from your own light. Thank you for listening to Pageantry Redefined. Share this with someone who's slowly, gently learning to walk in their truth.